So good morning, James. Really great to see you. Thank you for your time this morning. If I could ask you just to kick off and perhaps just introduce yourself to the people watching in terms of yourself and your business.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Bill. Thanks for having me. Yes, the name is James Stander, and I'm the Managing Director of Sustainable Advantage. We're a utilities and sustainability consultancy based in London and helping companies across the UK.
Interesting. So this year has been really challenging for many businesses. You'll be massively aware of that, and for many individuals. But actually what I'd like to ask you about is your successes. So what have been your biggest successes as a company in the last 12 months?
I think, Bill, yeah, that's pretty much the same as everybody. It's been a 12 months that very few people would have anticipated and probably even properly prepared for. So we had probably 2 weeks before lockdown, we'd sort of sent people home to try and make sure that our IT systems were resilient. So we've got about 50 staff based in our office. And then lockdown happened, and we were okay to still continue on running. So we have teams that run waste across 8,000 sites across the UK. We procure energy and manage energy for many clients. So we still had to be fully operational. But I guess a lot of my role, even though I'm the MD, is focused on business development and trying to grow the business. And so we have to be very mindful that we'd love to tell people we can help and all these great things which we can do in utilities and sustainability, but people are just trying to survive. People are being sent home. Are we going to have a business in 6 months' time? And so March, April, May, we were very conscious not to really try and sell our services to people, even though we felt we could help and it was all about reducing cost. And so we sort of took that time, what I did and my team, to I guess, reshape what we did, make sure we had the right products and services for people. And then when probably the market started opening up again in sort of June, July, August, where a lot of companies sort of said, okay, we're okay now, let's get back. It was in this whole piece around using Teams and Zoom to have meetings. Before, I was used to traveling around the UK and spending 15, 16 hours, 4 or 5 meetings a day across the whole of the UK. I could now spend 12 to 13 hours at my desk having maybe 5, 6 very productive meetings that are only an hour long. It seems that if you meet face to face, it's an hour and a half, but in Zoom, you can get the same amount done in 45 minutes. And so that's been absolutely fantastic. We've been very, very productive. We've won probably over the last 3 months more work per month than we had for many years. So it's for us a great way of future-proofing the business. My expenses last year, my traveling expenses were £15,000, and that's not first class, that's just standard class. And this year it's going to be an absolute fraction of that, and to still have the same results. And I think obviously it's more sustainable, not having to do all the travel. So yeah, that bit I think has been a very good positive for us.
Sounds like a real positive. How have you got the best out of yourself, your team, and got yourself the best out of the business at the moment?
So I think for us, adjusting the way we work, the team aren't used to seeing me in the office. So we've got we've got a fairly large sales team. I was usually in the office only on a Friday, and again, they were out during the week, so we didn't really see each other, we didn't bounce off each other, we didn't learn from each other. And I think the younger members of the team have really enjoyed having access to everybody in an office and listening to conversations and sharing ideas. And actually, it's translated into, we've probably got 2 or 3 new products that we've brought on in the last 2 to 3 months, as someone has said, look, I've read about this, what do you think about that? And a client of mine has mentioned this is a challenge for them, the government's brought this in. They've had a tender and they needed to respond to this. How are we going to help them? And so I think that's been really interesting, that I think the ability to work together and to learn from each other when you're in the office, and again, to reinforce a culture. And I think I've also taken a little bit more time to I guess, develop myself as an individual. I've had now a little bit more time. I've probably gained an hour or 2 during the day where I can reinvest in myself, which I think is important to try and improve your skills. And there's an amazing volume of information on YouTube and podcasts you can listen to on all sorts of topics. And that's just been really great, is that ability to have a little bit of time. So I start my day 5:30 in the morning in the office, it's quiet, and I can listen to things like that for an hour or 2 before the day starts.
And that self-development, absolutely crucial. James, what have been your biggest learnings over this time?
I think for me, I think going back to the way I sold maybe before was, it was all about, we were so passionate about what we could do, and we had all these great case studies and the clients we'd helped, and I was so keen to share that with people that I think I didn't listen enough. And I think given the fact that March and April and May, people were just so focused on their own issues as a business to survive, to change, that I felt it wasn't right for me to try and have a sales meeting and actually tell you about what we're going to do. And so I don't think I contacted anybody for 2 to 3 months, and I really waited until I felt that the time was right, that I could start asking whether they were back to business. But I think even though when I then came to having those meetings, I was still concerned about asking them how they were, how their business was now the right time to engage. And I felt myself listening a lot more. And then all of a sudden they were volunteering issues, problems, and I could ask them, well, what would happen if that wasn't solved, and how have you looked at solving it? And so my solutions, which then came very much towards the end, were very then well thought and actually to the point, and only what they wanted to talk about. And so, conversion rate went up. And so, as I said, over the last 2 to 3 months, we probably sold more per month than we sold, in many years before that. So it's taught me it's not always easy to listen when you're excited and you want to convey stuff, but it's something that I've learned. I've got to now go through that process and be much more considered until I offer what I think is the solution. So that's been a big change for me.
Wow, well, that's a massive learning, isn't it? That's skill to listen, to understand exactly what the prospect wants. Because if you can understand that with clarity, wow, then you can make it a really bespoke offer solution.